Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for watching. As always, I really appreciate it. The Boston Celtics overcame an 18-point deficit and stunned the Indiana Pacers with a 13-2 closing run to take a 3-0 series lead in the Eastern Conference Finals. Game 3 decided this series. It's over. It's a wrap. It's a sweep. It's done. I already knew Boston was going to take the Eastern Conference Finals, but I didn't think this series would be 3-0 Boston. I thought, the Pacers would make it more competitive. It was Judgment Day for Indiana on Saturday. The tough part about this loss is that everybody showed up on Indiana. You got contributions from everybody, and in the end, they still lost the game. They could have easily been up 2-1 in this series. But they're young, maybe some lack of experience. Looked like the Pacers were well on their way to stealing game 1 on the road, but a couple of turnovers, critical game-changing turnovers, doomed them. It cost them. Game 2 was a heartbreaking loss. What Jaylen Brown did to them. Their youth led to that downfall. If Indiana never blew 2 late leads in this series, they could easily be up 2-1 in this series. Instead, they're down 3-0 because of their inability to close out games. Across the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarters of games 1 and 3, Boston led Indiana for a total of 38.2 seconds. That's unbelievable. And won them both. And that's been the story of this series, right? Playing great for 40 plus minutes in multiple games is an astonishing effort. If only they could finish even without their best player. And that's the problem. They can't finish. Another great effort, but just couldn't put the finishing touches on the game late once again. This was your game to win. Suddenly, I feel like I'm watching a Pacers team that's not meant to be here. I mean, I don't want to discredit them or what they accomplished to get this far, but they had so many opportunities to win games, and every time they let the Celtics right back in it. You led by as many as 18 and had 4 players in double digits with at least 20 points. Just an all-time choke by the Pacers. I can't think of a more brutal way for them to lose a game. And again, they really gave the game away. Simply inexcusable. They couldn't have played that game any better. Your supporting cast showed up with Tyrese Halliburton sidelined for game 3. Andrew Nembhard and TJ McConnell stepped up with career best postseason performances. You're not going to play any better than that. You're not. And again, you saw the Celtics playoff experience come up big once again. To lose a close one like that to the number 1 ranked team in the East, you got to think it's really a tough pill to swallow. It really is. Losing a game you thought you won, that is absolutely heartbreaking. And I can definitely say Indiana isn't coming back from this. Look, they'll be lucky to win 1 game. The way things are looking right now, they'll be lucky to get 1 win. Right now, I feel the brooms are present. The Pacers have no answer for the Celtics late in games, it seems. And after a collapse like that one, I see Boston with the sweep. This has sweep written all over it. You're not beating Boston 4 straight times. It's humanly impossible against the Celtics team, even if they're not playing their best basketball. I'm buying into the notion that the Celtics have the momentum swinging in their favor, especially if the Pacers are going to be without Tyrese Halliburton, their main star. That comeback last night by the Celtics was impressive, although I thought it was an absurd win against a Pacers team that couldn't miss. The the Pacers were getting their shots to fall early in the game. They controlled the first half. Indiana made 5 3-pointers and shot 50.5%. It was efficient shooting from the Pacers as they were shooting 65% midway through the third quarter when they were up by as many as 18. And in the first half, they owned the Celtics, particularly in the painted area, was getting just about any shot they wanted, really. They had, I believe, 42 points from the top of my head, 42 paint points. So the threes weren't critical for them, like it wasn't necessary. Boston defense was not getting any stops. They had some breakdowns and looked helpless on that end of the floor. Nobody could play any lick of defense as Indiana got some easy looks inside the painted area where they were effective. Just an awful effort on defense in that first half. I thought at times, they, the Pacers were toying with them and they were getting everything they wanted offensively. They were cooking Boston in the paint. Then this game took a bad turn when the Celtics finally put the clamps on them, getting some scoring and some stops on defense, particularly in the second half. That kind of swung things in their favor. Absolute teamwork. You got to love the cohesion of this Celtics team. Jason Tatum finished with 36 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists. A masterful performance from him. Jaylen Brown out there posterizing people and having quite the postseason. He's averaging 30 points in this series. Jrue Holiday, man. Jrue Holiday. I think he's an important piece on this team, absolutely. He can impact the game on both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively. You're seeing it in this series. Very underrated and unappreciated. Don't let him go unnoticed because he's out there doing his thing as well. I think what matters more than anything is that their defense showed up amid their second half comeback. But what drives you crazy about the Celtics is their inconsistency on defense. I'm just using logic when I say the Celtics offensively should not look as bad as it did in the first half against the 24th ranked defense. And their defense shouldn't look as bad when they pride themselves on defense, right? I'll be nice and say the Pacers earned their spot rightfully in the Eastern Conference Finals, which I won't deny, but we all know they've survived as long as they did because their offense has been the driving force. Defense, not so much. Not nearly as good as the offense, obviously. They are the worst defense in the playoffs, and yet the Celtics had 2 games where they barely beat them. It's hard to know if Boston is legit or not until they meet a team out west, and that's no disrespect to them. Either Minnesota or Dallas, likely the Mavericks. I think the Mavericks are in full control and most likely going to close out this series very soon. But whoever they play up next, I think they'll get cooked by either team after barely getting by the Pacers, who could easily be in control of this series. You already know Boston got this series secured. It's a wrap. Indiana can try it again next year, as they'll definitely be a team we will have our eyes on just with what we saw from them in these playoffs. But for now, we can honestly say Boston is doing enough to get by and just enough to beat Indiana. I guess we'll soon see what Boston can do against the Mavs or the Wolves, most likely the Mavs. I think most everyone had Boston coming out of the East. You had those who were obviously in the minority and picked the Pacers simply because Boston is known for doing well in the regular season, then get so close, like right there, and choke it all away. But Boston is now 1 win away from going back to the NBA Finals, and now the Indiana Pacers are on the brink of elimination, and I think this series is over. In Game 4, I think Boston wins Game 4 as well. They have all the momentum in the world. Indiana can't obviously hold on to leads without blowing it late in the game. And I think a loss like this one, we talked about how bad Game 1 was, but I think a loss like this one is hard to overcome. Like, how do you overcome this? But yeah, I think the series is over regardless. And Boston will once again return to the NBA Finals. Hey, thanks for watching, everyone. Really appreciate the love and support. We'll talk soon. I'll be back with more content as always. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button for me, and we will talk very soon. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Hope your weekend is going well.